Hey, friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Encourage Over Everything show. It's your girl, Letitia, and we are about to reignite that spark, honey, because listen, every relationship, it definitely has its moments where there's going to be the ebb and the flow. There's going to be times when you're feeling that connection, and other times there ain't no connection to be found, honey. But naturally, relationships do evolve over time. And whether life gets busy, seasons change, you change, or maybe you and your partner are just going through some changes, honey. Things are always happening, and it's easy to just fall into the routine of your relationship. Or just somehow, with everything going on, your relationship just ends up on the back burner. And just like a pot of boiling hot water, eventually the pot will start to burn if we don't put nothing in it. And the same thing goes for your relationship. If you aren't paying attention, it can start to burn up. And that's how relationships go up in flames. And we just can't be having that. So, we are going to focus on the ways that you can bring intention back into your relationships and really reignite that spark by creating those small intentional moments that really bring the magic back into your life, honey, because you want to have those deep, connected, meaningful relationships. It starts with having the right intentions and backing it up with some action. So let's get into it. To know me is to know I am all for routines, honey. I love the comfort and security and stability that routines bring. But relationships can't thrive off of routine alone because if it does start to just be all about the routines, then it leads to complacency. And that's the last place you want your relationship to be. And that's why it's so important to bring intentionality back into your relationship so that you can really have that level of intimacy and joy that you really ultimately want to feel. We've all been there when life gets busy. We all know what it feels like to feel connected versus disconnected in our relationships. And sometimes that happens without us even noticing until we are in that place of disconnect. When you start to feel like two ships passing in the night, or you just feel like buddies that are just occupying the same space, I don't care what stage you are in your relationship, you still want to have those tinglies that you get when your boo thang says something to you that's a little sweet. Or when you have those moments of connection, when you really remember why you fell in love with them in the first place. It's those moments of connection when they're happening regularly. It That's exactly what keeps your partnership strong. And ultimately, it's in those moments that each person is really feeling valued, appreciated, and supported. So instead of just getting caught up in life or whatever other distractions that are happening around you, how can we get back to that place where we are just regularly creating those moments of magic that really help you weather the challenges? Because trust me, the challenges are going to happen. You're going to face them individually, you're going to face them collectively as a couple. But when the challenges hit, it's really all those moments, those deposits that you were making in your relationship leading up to the challenge that really helps to sustain you during the challenge. It's those special moments that create the reinforcement that you feel that tight sense of partnership and trust with your boo. So, connection is more than just about those intimate moments because it's also building up resiliency that you two have together, that you are so much stronger when you're together and when you're connected. Nothing can tear you apart. Back in my single days of dating, there was this one relationship in particular where I always felt like I was just not a priority. Like we could have plans, but then if a friend or a family member needed something, then suddenly, honey, them plans didn't matter at all. And I always felt like second best because I'm like, wait, we had plans. Wait, this is what was happening with us. And then suddenly it ain't happening. Have you ever had those moments where you're like, wait, so I'm not a priority here? It's so hard when you don't feel chosen, but it's really an opportunity to choose yourself. That was probably the greatest lesson that I learned from that experience was that it was really me who wasn't choosing me. So therefore, how could he? And it's a hard fact of reality to face, but honey, everything always comes back to us. But it also just makes a difference to be in a situation that's healthy and one that's not toxic because that old relationship was for show toxic, honey. That's a story for another time and another day. But being in this space that I'm in now where I'm just so much in love with me, and then so is my husband, okay? There's just such a huge, huge difference when you decide to choose you and then your partner does the same. It makes such a huge difference when you are with someone who makes you a priority. But I had to take the first step in making myself a priority. So I really encourage you to first look at if you are making yourself a priority. Because if you feel like your partner is lacking in that area, honey, it's time to self eval. Because once you set yourself as a priority, then everything else and everyone else just falls in line. And after you've made sure that you've made yourself a priority, next thing up is your relationship. So make sure that you just check the season that you're in because sometimes life is happening and the adulting is at level 100. And you do have to make sure that the kids are taken care of, that work is on track, and the family is good. There are all these competing priorities. But at the end of the day, you still have a say in what your priorities are. And it's important for both of you to be on the same page to make sure that regardless of whatever is happening in the world, that your relationship is still very much a priority. Now, I am a firm believer that the magic is made up of the moments. So I created this little framework that really helps you build around creating those moments of magic. You get to decide how you want to go about creating these magical moments. Yes, it can be something that you set as a routine, it can be little moments that you want to include in your day to day. Or every week you want to make sure that there's some sort of a special magical moment, or maybe it's monthly and you want to do something big on a bigger scale, or maybe you just want to be spontaneous and you just want to set random reminders in your calendar to create moments of magic. Hey, you can really use this any way that you want to, but I do encourage you to really be intentional about using this framework to allow it to serve you as the reminders of your love and your commitment to one another. Because regardless of whatever busyness or challenges that you're facing in life, you want to set the precedence that your relationship is a priority. And that's how you really nurture the bond between the two of you. And then you end up feeling seen and heard and supported and valued and all of the goodness that you really want to feel in your relationship. It's not something that you want to sleepwalk your way through because as soon as the sleepwalking happens, honey, your relationship really starts to suffer. And you don't want to wait until there's something big brewing before you decide to make your relationship a priority. So, check out which season that you're in. This may be a season in your relationship where you can afford to be really super spontaneous. And maybe it's just too busy of a season and there's just too much going on that you got to be like, listen, every week we need to check in. Every week, we need to do this. So, as we go through these things, you can decide how you want to implement them, but definitely make sure that the moments of magic become a regular part of your relationship. So, this doesn't have to be anything wild and outlandish unless you want it to be. But let's start with some small intentional gestures. It can really even just be the small things like engaging each other's senses, going back to touch, smell, what you can see, what you can say. It's even just the little things. So decide on some really small acts of affection or attention that you can have with your boo. And trust me, those little things go a long way. It's the little, butt grab as you pass through the hallway. If that's not your thing, what about that nice smelling perfume that they love so much? Won't you put a little bit of that on, hey? And when was the last time that you sent a cute little flirty text? Trust me, the honeymoon does not have to end just because you are so many years in. The honeymoon lasts as long as you are still treating your relationship like it's in its honeymoon stage. Because trust me, I still get that cute schoolgirl giddy giggle when my boo sends me a love song. Okay. Nothing hits more than a love song, honey. You want to make my day? Mm. All he has to do is send me a love song, and boop, boop, day is made. So it's those little things, it's those small little gestures that really do have such a major impact. So, what else can you do to support each other throughout your day? How about asking that very question? How about just supportive check ins to say, babe, is there anything that I can do to help support you today? Like, babe, man, I see you got a lot going on right now. Is there something I can do to help support you today? You don't always have to have all the answers. You don't always have to come up with what you think they need. Sometimes just asking what they need it really makes all the difference. And then you get to co-create a special moment between the two of you and they're like, "Wow, how in tuned are they that they recognize that I can need something?" And just that simple question just shows how much they care. I'm telling you, the little things, honey. The little things mean a lot. Boys to Men wasn't playing when they made that song. And random acts of kindness, trust me, they work in your relationships too. Doing something small like leaving a cute little note or a card next to a cup of coffee or packing their lunch for the next day. Like it is the little things that really do mean a lot. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how are y'all doing on the touch barometer? Okay. Is there like zero touch happening or we on a level 10? Do you still hold hands? When was the last time that you just held each other in a long embrace? Those long hugs, honey. It is like food to the soul. And when was the last time that you just looked at your love with admiration? That's all you right there. These are the little things that create that bond of connection that it doesn't matter what kind of day someone is having. These are the little things that can make a good day great. So think about some other little things that you can do during your day that you know your boo would love. Because I'm telling you, when you customize it, like, I know my man, okay? And those are the things that help make your bond even stronger. And if daily isn't your jam, what about weekly? Date nights, always important. Always important. Or just how are those moments that you two decide to spend some quality time together throughout the week? Check in with each other and see what's new. What's new happening at work? What's something new that you're interested in? What's a new goal that you're working on? Remembering that your partner is a person out here living this human experience just like you. and they might have some new goals or some new interest. They might be thinking about something differently than they were before. So take the time to get curious about your partner because your partner is changing and growing just like you are. And even when you think that you know what's going on, be curious. Leave that door open for new connections to be made. Get to know them in a new way. And this is one of my favorites, expressing gratitude. Is there something amazing that your partner did last week and you just want to make sure that they know how much you recognize it, how much you appreciate them for it? And I'm really talking to you if you especially seem to notice everything that they don't do. Because listen, okay, it's easy to be like, you know what? You know what you not doing is. But for every time you highlight something that they are not doing, you should be giving 3 times, 4 times praise for what they are doing right. Because nothing steals the joy out of relationships like constant complaining. Nothing steals the joy out of relationships more than constantly criticizing your partner. Life is hard enough on its own, honey. Not only is life hard enough on its own, but we tend to be harder on ourselves than anyone else. So, the last thing that your partner probably needs is you coming in with a legal pad full of all the things that they're not doing right. You want to be that one person in the world that recognizes the good that your partner is doing. Sure, there is always going to be some room for improvement. And I'm not saying that your legal pad list, honey. I'm not saying that your legal pad list is not valid, okay? So don't come at me. But those are the types of things that really do create a wedge in your relationship, and it makes it you versus them. And that's not what it's really about when you're supposed to be coming together as a unit. So make sure that you are sprinkling in some gratitude for your partner. There has got to be something that they are doing for you or your family, or even just things that you recognize them doing out in the world, spreading goodness, spreading kindness, being of service. There's so much that you could be expressing gratitude for your partner for. So make sure that gratitude is at least something that you touch on at least once a week. Because if you want your partner to know how valued they are, gratitude is a great way to show it. Saying I love you doesn't hit the same as explaining and really expressing, showing that you are present in the relationship and aware of all of the good things that they're doing. I don't know anybody who doesn't need reminders of the good that they're doing out here in this world. You know, appreciation goes a really long way. And you might be a little surprised at how your partner starts to respond back to you when they feel like they are actually being seen and appreciated. So, if there isn't anything else that you take away from this, start to include some gratitude and really watch your love flourish. Hey, friend, this seems like a good place to pause. Have you gotten your free checklist, the response and responsibility checklist? Have you got your hands on it? Because, honey, trust. If you want to improve the communication in your relationships, this is the way to go. Get yourself the free checklist and really start to have the kind of deep, meaningful, connected conversations that you really want to be having. Because we all know that communication is the key in any relationship. So let's learn how to communicate better. Get yourself the response and responsibility checklist and watch your communication flourish. Okay. Now, we've talked about some things that you can sprinkle in daily and weekly, but let's also talk about what we can do once a month. Because listen, I know real life gets hectic, and sometimes you ain't on that daily tip. Sometimes the weekly tip, honey, is just as hard as the daily. But I really want to encourage you to create some monthly moments of magic where you can have deeper connections through some new experiences. So, what are the things that you both enjoy doing? Maybe there's a new restaurant that you want to try, or maybe there's something new and exciting that you've been wanting to try. Or maybe you just want to dust off one of your best dates and recreate it today. There's so many things that you can do to make some incredible memories together. So, what about an adventure date? Maybe there's a place or a class, or maybe there's a day trip that you have been dying to take. If Instagram and TikTok ain't good for nothing else, honey, they got you on the dating ideas. Or maybe there's a couple of spots throughout the year where you just want to take some time to just reflect on how far you've come and where you are, and set some new goals and intentions together. When you are just running at the speed of light and keeping up with everything, or trying to keep up with everything that's happening in life, it is so easy to skim past your wins together as a couple. But it is so important to just take some time to just reflect on how far you've come, even just since last year or in the last 6 months. What are some things that you two can celebrate together that you overcame? So, reflecting together as a couple, definitely a game changer when it comes to bringing in that heightened sense of awareness of who you are together as a unit. And then, what do you have to look forward to? Are you on track for the goals that you set at the start of the year? Or maybe things have shifted so much that it's time to say, let's create a brand new plan and set some new intentions for how we want the next 6 months to go, or the next 30 days to go. Life is constantly sprinkling in new things, but it's always a great time to just take a moment to pause, reflect, celebrate some wins, even level set and set up brand new intentions together. And one of my favorites, what about setting up a personal appreciation day in honor of each other? What if you took turns planning a special experience for each other? What if you decided that this was the month that you were going to take your boo to a place that he has had his eye on, and you set this whole thing up? Like, trust me, they like it too, okay? And anyone who tells you otherwise, they ain't keeping it real. But I love surprising my honey with a date night, or we're planning something special. And I know how much I love when he does it for me. And if your boo thing is not so much into the surprises, there are still fun ways to keep elements of what you're doing a surprise. So it doesn't have to be some huge grand gesture, but how can you make a day of appreciation for them doing something that they love, that brings them joy? Maybe there's a basketball game coming up and you could get tickets for you guys. Or maybe he's a movie buff and you can plan to go to Studio Movie Grill. Hey, shout out to Studio Movie Grill, where you can have the food brought right to your seat as you watch the movie. I love that place. So if you have something like that near you, make it a date night. Make it a day of appreciation, just something that you can do to honor one another and show just how grateful you are for each other. Because if you really think about it, like, who else is doing this for us? Nobody. No one else is going to be like, hey, I mean, unless it's your birthday, who else is planning a special day for you? So, a day to honor each other, sprinkled with some of your favorite treats. Again, these are the types of moments that really create growth within your relationship. And it helps to just revive it and just give it a new element of excitement to your relationship so that it doesn't seem mundane or you don't start feeling that complacency like it's just another day. And besides, anytime that you have a chance to remember and support each other as individuals, really support each other's humanity, like talking about the things that you see changing in them, the positive changes that you see in them, their goals, their dreams, the things that they're working towards, or even just challenges that they're facing. But maybe you recognize just how great they're handling it. Like maybe they don't even realize how much they've grown or how different they are now. Because if this would have happened a year ago, maybe they would have been handling it a completely different way. So don't forget to care about your human because for as much as the two of you are in this relationship and you want to create all of these special moments and memories together, let's not lose sight of the incredible individual that they are. And I touched a little bit on personal growth, so let's dive into that a little bit more because it is so important to recognize each other's personal progress, the wins that we're having, the struggles we're overcoming. Having a genuine interest in their journey creates connection. When you are with someone and they recognize things that even you don't notice about yourself, those things that you do on autopilot without even thinking and your boo thing notices, that makes a difference. One of our greatest desires is to be seen. So, when was the last time that you recognized some growth within your boo thing? When was the last time that you celebrated their wins, their progress, being curious, being interested? This is what being invested it really looks like. So my friend, prioritize the connection in your relationship. You can create moments of magic. And those are the things that we hold on to as the nearest and dearest things to us. When you show that your relationship is a priority, and you nurture it consistently, those loving actions, they lay the foundation that your relationship continues to stand on. And when the challenges come, you have a chance to stand up strong against it because of the investments and deposits that you're putting into your person that you are so blessed to have. And it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be constant grand gestures. It's really just reinforcing the magic that comes from showing up with genuine intention that shows that you love and care for them and that your relationship is important. So, whether you decide to create some new fun routines or you just want to be spontaneous and create some moments of magic, make sure that you are intentional about bringing the excitement and the passion that you want to feel in your relationship. Building connection does not require perfection. So if you don't walk away with anything else, please remember that it is not about having the perfect relationship. And perfect relationships don't even exist because we are not perfect people. So to strive for perfection is really something that's not even attainable, but magical moments are. And if you can continue to prioritize each other and prioritize your relationship, it will be there for you in the good, the bad, and the ugly, honey. So tell me what you loved about this episode. Let me know which one of these things you're going to try or if several is on your menu. And keep me up to date because I want to know, honey. What type of differences are you seeing in your relationship just by being intentional? about prioritizing your connections in your relationship. Come and connect with me on TikTok, send me a DM, honey, or pop me something here on the podcast. And if you're checking this out on Spotify, answer the questions, answer the polls, because all of these things help me with future episodes. Because you know, I want to be giving you the stuff that you need, honey. There's so much going on in the world, and at times it can be a very divisive place. But the truth is that we need each other. And even though relationships are not always easy, because I mean, truth be told, neither are we. But despite whatever is going on around you, you can still make it a point to nurture your people. You can still make it a point to nurture your partner and the partnership that you are building together. Let's normalize relationships winning, and it starts with your wins. So, my friend, I hope that you loved this episode as much as I loved whipping this up for you. Drop me a review because reviews help so much for all the amazing podcasters out there, myself included. Okay. But no, let me quit playing. Leave a review. Let me know what you're loving about the podcast. Let me know what you want to hear coming up, and encourage over your love. Encourage over your love, encourage over your relationships, encourage over your connections, encourage over your magical moments, because together we can encourage over everything.